All right, so these are both going to be revolved around the y-axis, so everything will be in terms of y. So this first one, I was originally going to give you the picture, but I'm just going to give you all the graphs that this region is going to be bounded by, so then we can kind of figure out how to get this on our own as well. So obviously y equals x cubed. That's an easy one to graph. We have 0, 0. We have 1, 1. 2 cubed is 8. Okay, looks something like that. And that's going to continue on forever. And obviously go to the negative, but we're not going to be working with that region. And it's bounded by x equals 0, which is our y-axis, and the horizontal line y equals 8. So that's how I know that my figure, the shaded region, is this inside. Okay, because if you look, all three sides of that figure are the equations up top. Y equals x cubed is the curve, x equals 0 is my y-axis, y equals 8 is the horizontal line at top. So since we are going around the y-axis, we want to draw our triangle, or our rectangle, sorry, our rectangle perpendicular to that y-axis. And what we want to picture is that rectangle being rotated around and there's one of our discs. Again, not very good at this 3D stuff, but what's going to happen here when we do that, no matter where our disc is, we are going to end up with a solid. Oops, I want to do that. Okay. Again, not. So we're going to have this solid, and we want to find this volume, okay, of that solid. I can kind of see the 3D image there. All right, so again, we're in the y direction. So in order to come up with our radius, it has to be in terms of y. So currently, this is a function written in terms of x. We need to make this a function in terms of y, and sometimes those won't be functions. So to undo a cubed, we cube root both sides. And this written in terms of y is x equals the cube root of y, or you can say y to the 1/3, okay? Obviously for power up purposes, probably better to write it as y equals 1/3. So when looking at your radius, to figure out for each cylinder, that is r of y, which is your x equals y to the 1/3, okay? So when we go to do our volume, we have pi. Now our boundaries are from our lowest y, which is 0, to our highest y, which is at 8. Our radius in terms of y will be y to the 1/3. We're going to square that, and we're in the direction of y. So that's the height of each cylinder, the change in y. And now again, well, let's take care of the squaring part. But otherwise, you're just using your power up rule. Okay, so we have pi, y to the 2/3 plus 1 gives us 5/3, divided by 5/3, and we're going to evaluate that from 0 to 8, which is really just 8, because otherwise we're just subtracting 0. So when we plug in 8 here, you can do the cube root of 8 first, which is 2 to the 5th, and then multiply that by 3/5. That's going to give you 96 over 5. So our volume here will be 96/5 pi exactly. If we wanted it rounded, then we could use the pi button on our calculator. Okay, so notice it's very, very similar. You just have to make sure you change your variables if it's going around the y-axis. And in any case, around any vertical axes. Because tomorrow what we're going to do is we may take this and we're going to rotate it around the line x equals 2. Okay, we can still do that. Or x equals -2. So you just have to know if it's being rotated around a vertical axis, it's in the direction of y. So that's why it has to be in terms of y. So I'm going to have you try this next one. Number 4. And I will give you the graph. I will give you all the boundaries. So it'll be bounded by y equals 2x squared. Kind of very similar to this last one. Y equals 8 and x equals 0. So first thing, draw it. Let's see what we have. And we want it, remember, going around the y-axis. So right away, step 1 would be to draw it. So go ahead and pause the video, draw it. Okay, so here is your picture. And as we can see, we're going around the y, so we need to be able to write this, our radius, as a function of y. So step 2, after we draw it, let's go ahead and solve this for x. So I'm going to divide by 2. And to undo an x squared, we are going to take the square root. So that right here is our radius of every single disk that we can stack up, okay? So when we go to calculate our volume, we're going to have pi, lower boundary, that's 0, 0, so your lowest y is 0. Your upper boundary is 2, 8, so that's going to be up at 8. Your radius in terms of y will be the square root of y over 2. And remember, it's pi r squared times the height, which is your change in y. So that would be your setup. So hopefully you did that. And then we are going to just continue, and hopefully you're just checking it and seeing that you completed this correctly. So when you square a square root, it's just gone. You can actually kick your 1/2 out to the front and use power up rule. Doesn't really matter. So this leaves us with pi halves times 8 squared. 64 divided by 2 is 32, which leaves us with 16 pi. And yes, that is it. So now when you go to your assignment guide, do not use the one I gave you in class. I have adjusted it so we can do, so I could break these lessons down since I'm not there to ask or answer questions in real time for you. So go ahead and do day 3. Again, keep in touch if you have questions, you need help. And remember, we are still learning, so you got to keep working, and we will get through it. There's just a couple more sections left, and then it'll all be AP review. I'm still waiting to hear from AP what their plan is for AP exams. So we still have not heard anything. We will let you know as soon as we do. All right, have a good one.